Howdy, howdy, howdy. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Alrighty, let's see. We got some people over here in the chat. Let's get over here and see who they are. Oh, if I can find my cursor. Let's see, Ralph and Andy are here. Rob's here. Jerry, BN Eagle River. Adrian, Dave's Hobbies, New Ferris. Brad Anderson just popped in from down under. Human City Junction, how you doing? And we got Eric over here with his camera off, and Joey. How y'all doing?
Doing well, Johnny. Pretty 50-50.
Yeah, Robert just popped in. Ralph said he can't get on because his internet's a little erratic tonight.
Oh, that's everywhere, I think. I think it's just an excuse.
Yeah.
No, I've been doing that all day for me.
Oh, here comes Tim. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad.
Timothy?
Move y'all over here to the other screen. I'm writing out minutes for last month's train club meeting.
We had our conducting meeting for the railroad today, too. On Zoom.
What we're doing tomorrow night for our meeting. And my wife's getting ready to do a Zoom meeting for her PTA stuff.
There you go.
Shane's Trains just jumped in. What's going on, Shane? Hillbilly Railroad. I'll be darned. How you doing? Hadn't heard from you in a while. Hope everything's going all right up there. Ray?
Right.
All right, we got trouble here now. Ray's here.
Oh.
Yeah, if it's not Andy and Ralph, it'll be Ray.
That troublemaker.
Wow. Skype. So did you hear the NMRA finally canceled the show in July?
Oh, did
We did?
Yeah. Big cancellation on their Facebook page. About time. Oh, we're waiting for it.
So that makes me think, what's going to be the prize for the Walters contest then? Other than the money?
Just the money. And they'll probably recognize you at the next show.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that was the whole thing, was the prize and the recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael just popped in.
Say one thing, Timothy, those arresters look pretty nice on the engine.
Do they?
Yeah. I don't know if I can. That'd be kind of blurry. I still got to paint them.
What's it going to be?
We just paint them black.
Probably. I just painted them the chassis blue that I have, and it's going to be weathered, of course. It's going to be Southern Railroad, number 2377. I mean, Southland Railroad.
I mean, yeah, they would have started out as chassis blue.
Right.
Or whatever they were, color they were using on the, Mopaks at that time.
Well, yeah, because
after the first couple heavy hauls, they would have been almost completely black.
Yeah, and even in the movie scene, they look almost black because of all the sparks and
All the soot.
smoke.
Yeah.
If anybody doesn't know, I'm modeling a DP38-2 from the movie End of the Line, which is called the railroad's called the Southland Railroad, and they used older Mopac locomotives. So, and in the front is a beacon of the police car they hit, and I have a picture of it here actually, because I'm going to build a little diorama of it. So that's the police car they smashed through. So I'm going to represent. I have a little, almost like 18 by 15 inch square. So
Yeah,
if you don't have land, I get built tons of dioramas. It works.
Gino just popped in. How you doing, Gino?
Gino said he escaped for a night. That's good to know.
Yeah, Earl wasn't looking and he takes off. Rob saying anyone seeing supply and inventory issues with their hobby suppliers, Walters, local brick and mortar, or whatever.
Brick and mortar places are tough, but I know a lot of people now, just like restaurants, they're delivering and mailing stuff. The only issue will be unless the state's on lockdown and not taking any deliveries or mail, or no one's allowed to go out to the post office. That'll be the only issue. I mean, I haven't heard anything yet about that kind of issue, unless it's international.
Well, here all the non-essential businesses had to close about a week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So all the hobby shops are closed. Everybody else, barbershops, anything like that, they're all closed up.
Yeah.
But anyhow, let's see.
I have no choice.
Shane said he's seen no issues with shipping. Everyone I've got in the last month arrives on time. Rail artist, yeah. How you doing? He said, good evening, everyone. He from West Virginia, so that's hillbilly railroad territory there.
Yeah.
Lloyd's here, MHO Junction.
Jerry says, wait, isn't a hobby shop essential?
Yeah.
That's great.
It should be.
Now's the time.
I mean, like I said a couple nights ago, apparently there's this Hobby DB online. It's called the Hobby DB, and they track like they're a search engine. You can search for hobbies that are out there to do, and some of the top results are model railroading.
That's cool.
Yeah, let's see. Ralph said that his local shop will take your orders and put it outside when you get to the store and call them. Let them know you're out there. Al Mar just popped in. How you doing, Al? Yeah, Andy said hobby shop equals health care, mental health care.
Yeah. I agree on that one. I used to go just to go. Sometimes I couldn't afford anything. I used to walk 10 minutes to the subway, and then it was a 15-minute subway ride, then a 20-minute walk, and I just to hang there for hours, just talk to the guys there. Maybe that was I don't know, it was mentally healthy. It was definitely emotionally healthy too.
Carolina Foothills just popped in. How you doing? Hey, here comes Andy.
I got a new toy. Well, I got it a couple days ago, but I've been working on it. But Raspberry Pi, so I wrote Jabber out a Raspberry Pi. I know a lot of us actually do that. But string built into the case, they're cheap, by the way, too. But I thought it was a convenient way to do it, and stylus or touchscreen actually. So
Evening, boys.
Hey, Robert, how you doing?
What's up, man?
I guess I could
Doing all
turn.
right.
I guess I could turn my camera on.
Hey, Robert.
Yo,
Just curious, did you ever get that thing done?
no, man. I had a bigger project come up that I've been working on.
All right, that's fine.
Adrian just made the comment. I ride my bike just to go to the hobby shop to look and dream as a kid.
Well, I think we probably drove the hobby shop owners crazy. I started that at a pretty young age.
Big Bill just popped in.
Bill, how's Staten Island going?
Ooh. Well, we got a few people in. Go ahead and, as Bill says, do a little bit of homework here. Next week we're going to have 1, 2, 3. Yep, 3 shows in a row. Starting April 14th, we got the Bills show with Andy and his crew. Then on the 15th, we got Ralph doing the weathering. He's got working on his locos. Thursday, he'll be back here to this show again. Don't forget, all shows are at 9 o'clock Eastern time, so.
Speaking of homework, I
Andy,
should
check your text, please.
I will.
Can't see that, Andy. It's just washed out. Now, can. Now a little bit.
Anyway. Works pretty well.
Now that you mentioned homework, Johnny, I probably should start mine sometime.
Uh-huh.
The sad thing is, you think when you get out of school that the homework ends. That's really when homework just starts, generally.
Unfortunately, that's true.
Or I'll tell you what, actually, when you first come out of high school, you don't have to do much homework. The further you go, the more homework you pick up.
Yep.
And you wind up going back to school again.
Yeah, it's a constant thing.
Yeah, John 2618 just popped in. How you doing, John?
So I'm gonna cut this car in half and the road there, and that'll be the locomotive still runs at DC right now, but it's gonna be converted to DCC, and obviously it'll be used when I have a display on, but obviously the engine will be used on the layout when I start building it.
That'll be good.
You got a plan on something to start on?
For the layout.
Yeah.
Yeah, since the Southland Railroad, based on the movie, it's based in Clifford, Arkansas, which is a fictional town in Arkansas. But the way that their route went and how they talk, the dialogue in the movie, it's not far off from Little Rock. And Russellville, which is not far from Little Rock, has tons of industries on the Union Pacific. So I could bake the railroad that Clifford, Arkansas is just outside of Russellville, and incorporate the railroad runs through Russellville, Arkansas, and at the time, well, and even at the time, but even like current time, it will maybe the railroad ran from Little Rock to Van Buren and is interchanged with Union Pacific and Van Buren and the Arkansas, Missouri Railroad.
So what were you modeling before? New York, right?
I was modeling New York State. Yeah, the Hudson, New England, a fictional short line that runs from New York through Vermont down to Massachusetts. decided to go south and went from Alcos. I mean, I still have a couple of the Alcos, but decided to go from Alcos to early Jeep GP18s, GP38-2s, and GP7s.
GP7.
Yeah,
I
but
just fell in love with the Pacific engines with their spark arresters on top and all the little knickknacks it has on their engines.
Yeah, I seen that picture you were sharing in one of the nightly shows recently. Those are odd looking.
Yeah.
They're cool. I dig it. I would do the same thing. I would be excited about modeling something odd like that, but they are odd.
Well, Tim, it took a while. Dan Ward was a great modeler. He helped me try to find the right ones. He did, and I ordered the wrong ones, so trying to find the right ones again, and we found them, thank goodness. And Tim helped me out. It was the second time around, and that's when we were all looking at the photos, and I bought the spark arresters from Details West, so I was able to put them on the engines. And I couldn't find any photos online of the locomotive. But then I was like, let's type in GP38-2, and a ton of photos came through.
And one with the spark arresters on them.
More spark arresters, yeah. GP18s, GP7s, everything you could think of the late 70s, early 80s. All the way up to the merger, rather, because the 80s was the merger time, end of the 80s. The old spark arresters, and it turns out they were because of Kansas had a lot of wheat fields, and just dry fields, they would have tons of wildfires. So, and plus they were not non-turbocharged locomotives, so they needed spark arresters on top to control the sparks and flames and stuff spewing out the top, not to cause fire.
Huh. When you said spark arrestor, I was thinking of like narrow gauge steam, where I see those.
But it's the same purpose.
Right. And then another night we were looking at trying to find the reason for it, and I kept going back into the early 1900s of a lawsuit that was claimed against the Missouri Pacific of a lumber company. I think it happened in Arkansas or Kansas, and no, it was in Mississippi. And turns out the sparks flew out of the steam engines and burnt the entire lumber company down.
Oh yeah, it's quite common. Well, I mean, that's right. Why they have I forget what they're called, the little outrigging on the side of wooden trestles that has a water barrel on it. There's a reason why they kept those there, because the timber, especially the ties, with the ashes that kind of fall out as part of that process, hot embers will catch on fire. Now, if they're buried in dirt, it's not as bad. Maybe one tie burns up or something, but it was not uncommon for entire trestles to go up, especially in the logging industry, where they didn't do that mainline practice of keeping water in those. A lot of those trestles, there's really cool pictures, turn of the century stuff, with a lot of those burnt up.
I just let everybody know Human City Junction made it over 100 subscribers, thanks to the show last night.
100 friends. God, I
Yeah.
never prior to this internet age known 100 people probably at any one time. Nobody does.
Yeah, Bill said 100 today, 1,000 tomorrow. And how you doing, Sam?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Yeah, that's good. We're going to start calling you Wooly Bully.
Why? Because of my
Huh?
coming hair.
That reference is way too old for him, Johnny. Way too old.
I'll call him hippie. He needs a haircut.
We all need a haircut.
I have to call his dad, tell him to get the bowl out of the cabinet and the shears. Give him a bowl cut.
I don't. My wife cuts mine for me.
Hair with a vacuum. So,
Just buzz it. Get a Flowbee.
Me and Josh were talking about those today, the Flowbee. What we were going to have to do.
yeah, my stepdad still has one.
You don't see the commercial. Man, those commercials used to be all over back in the 80s. Or, I think they pretty much stopped the promotion of them in the 90s though.
Yeah, I remember those.
But it was every commercial break there was a commercial for the Flowbee back in the 80s. Cut your own hair with the Flowbee, and military uses a version of it.
Huh.
Big industrial version.
Yeah, they
Let's
don't
see.
sell parts anymore. You have to get them on eBay.
Nice.
Can you see the air hoses?
Oh man, those are cool.
So
Did it magnetic?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the surgent couplers, which I can't align and hold the camera here, but the surgent couplers on them and the air hoses on them. I'm only just starting on this somewhat fleet of cars that I built.
All right, y'all hang on a second. I need to find this because I don't forgot who asked it. Somebody's asking about a coupling problem they were having. Oh, okay. SD70 ACE fan. Any idea how I can get coal cars to stay coupled up without uncoupling them when I dump the coal? That all
Without
depends.
uncoupling them.
Yeah, I guess he's using a rotator, and you'll have to get these swivel couples if that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, KD makes a version of that, and there's another couple of the companies, these Surgents that I use, Surgent Engineering couplers, the prototype looking couplers. They make a twist where the draft gearbox twists the way the prototype does, but it's a little bit more bulky to take a KD coupler and do that to it.
Yeah.
But people have done it.
The easiest way would be to actually go ahead and just do a delayed uncouple. If you know what that is where you uncouple and then you offset the couplers, and then you just push your car in that way, and back the other car off. Go ahead and do your rotator, and still do a delayed uncouple. Put like a magnet into your, so you can do a delayed uncouple. Push your cars through. Then once you get everything all the way through, you're pushing past the magnet, so now they should start hook. You should be able to start hooking them up, and then just pull them past. Keep pulling them past the magnets, and they'll pull past the magnets without any problem.
But you've got to break the train the way they did in the 1950 era, for example, when they unloaded in the first rotors, is they had to break the train at each joint, front and back. So you'd have to put both sets of couplers on every car into delayed mode as you got up there, and then just push, and then you can't pull the car back though. So you need to be able to put. The problem you get into is you got this car, you got a car on either side. You push the car up, you want to dump it. You got to break it over here, which means you have to push this car out, that train out, past, and then pull back. But if you put this couple into delayed so that you can pull away to rotate it, you can't pull the car back. You're in this catch-22 thing. It's a really tricky thing, and they did it with car pullers.
You can push past. Once you push it past the, you can push it past the magnet just a little bit, and then the couplers will recenter and rehook and pull back.
Yeah, hang on a second. Joe, have you got two screens open?
Yeah, I can shut one off. I was just trying to share something really quickly.
So, and these aren't even coming together. They don't even have the same coupler. So you got 3 coal hoppers that you're going to dump. That's all we're actually here. You're going to dump 3 coal hoppers. Let's just assume that they're all 3.
Yeah, Scott's here. If nobody noticed.
And he made it.
Yeah.
So you got 3 hoppers. You got what you need to do is rotate this one. So as you're pushing past, you can't get it here to the rotator. So you've got to delay. You've got to uncouple it out here if you're going to uncouple it. So you've got to put these into delayed action right here. But these are still coupled because you've got to push that car through and it's got to rotate. Right? So actually they have to be in delayed too. So you're going to put them in delayed because you've had to disconnect this car. Well, let's assume you've done that because you're going to get the same both there. But you've got this car, both in delayed. So you push up. You want to pull forward again, but you can't. So these are all you can't pull the cars forward. So these, even though they're in delay, you can never clear this car to rotate it. But let's assume you cleared that car and you push it past. You push this car in. You push this car under the rotator. Now you've had to push this car out of the way. So you have to keep the couplers in delayed action, which you can do with a magnet. But when you do, you have to push it clear so the couplers don't hang on each other. And this car needs to come back. But you can't pull it back because these are in delay. So when you pull it back, this car's going to be hanging out of the rotator. There's no way to move that back and forth without actuating the car.
If you put the magnet on the entry side of your rotator, right? Then as you push in, you stop once you get your first car in, correct?
Okay. All right.
And you uncouple and you go into delayed uncoupling on that one.
Okay. And then what do?
Then you go ahead and push on in.
Okay.
And since you're under tension, you push just a little bit past your magnet, where your magnet would be at for your rotator, right?
Okay.
So go ahead and push that car on in.
All right, you're in. Let's say I don't have a lot of room.
All right, now you pull backwards a little bit.
I can't. Well, okay. Let's assume you can for a second. Pull back. All right.
Now you push back up just a little ways, and now you go back. Now you're in disconnect on the other car.
So you're ready to rotate this car. Not a problem. I got you so far.
No, your center car. You can rotate your center car.
You're still coupled right here.
No, you can push it back in. Take the pressure off the coupler. It will go over the magnet. It will go in. It'll go open, right? And you can pull back a little ways.
If you uncouple here so that you can rotate this car, you pull forward, you back up, you clear. This car rotates.
You can rotate that car.
Okay, this car rotates. Now, you go to push this next car in. So you push it into the rotator, and you're ready to rotate it. So you go to pull back, but you've had to put this in delayed action because you've already had to get this in delayed action.
You push in again, just slightly, just to uncouple, and then pull back, and then push in again to go into delayed uncoupling without bumping your other car, and then you can pull your other car back.
But if you've got this under your rotary dump assembly, when you push this car up under that rotary dump to push this one out, you can't pull this car back again. So it's going to
need to.
It's going to stay hanging out of the rotary dump.
No, you don't push it in that far.
Well, if you don't push it that far, you don't push that car out of the rotary dump. So you've got to push the car past the rotary dump to get that car out. That's where your delayed uncoupling is.
Here, look, I know what I'm trying to get at. Hang on.
Now, you're also talking about a locomotive right behind that Norfolk Western boxcar, representing a coal car, of course, but...
Well, I'm just assuming that, I'm just saying, you get into this case. I've had to think about how you wanted to do this, too, because the era I was modeling previously without rotating couplers, especially that match my style or whatever. It's a there's not a clean operation because you get into a catch-22. To clear the rotator for the previous car, at wherever point in the trade you're trying to dump, because it's going to happen the first car. As soon as you you can dump the first car. As soon as you go to push the first car out of the way, the second car is going to have to go too far in order to get it out of the way, and you've had to put that delayed uncoupling so you can't pull it back. So you're in this catch-22 where you have to actuate the cars with clamps and all this other stuff. But rotating couplers are your friend, my friend. If you're modeling modern era, you can do rotating couplers.
They're
not easy, but they're necessary.
They're going to last me quicker, but there is a way to do it without having to have the rotating coupler.
Oh, yes, there are. You just have to actuate the have a path that will control the car that's unrealistic.
One magnet.
Are you guys getting a lot done right now? Under the circumstances?
I'm out of money
right now.
There's all kinds of stuff to do that doesn't necessarily take money, though. You always move ahead. If you're going to be stuck in the house, that's one way to not let it get you down.
Right, I've been doing YouTube Live once a week, Instagram Live.
All right, 6 of you can't talk at the same time.
3 tops.
What was that, Joe?
So, Joey?
Sorry?
What were you saying?
Oh, it's just saying getting any stuff done. Is working on my own, some of my own little projects and doing 2 dioramas for YouTube Live as well as Instagram Live, just to since I don't have any editing software currently to make videos. These go live once a week. Go ahead.
Blackmagic is a free piece of software. It's quite good. I've seen several YouTubers talk about moving to it over a paid piece of software that was middle of the road. It's not Final Cut Pro, but it's better than most things that you would need. And Blackmagic has it on their website. I'll think of what it is here in a minute, or I'll tell you later. But what the name of the product is. But if you just look for downloads on Blackmagic's website, it's really good.
Okay, great. Thank
what
you.
it is.
I use one on my phone. I mean, that's what I use to record all my videos, and I have a free one on my phone that works great.
Yeah, iMovie or whatever it is, the equivalent of that on Apple phones is quite good too. I don't love the editing experience, but on an iPad, I don't mind it at all. So I can record video on my phone and then use my iPad to edit it. But there are still a number of things that a mouse just has a benefit to. Editing a mouse is just so much. Touch is great for 90% of the things, but the other 10% of things that a touch is not great at, it's really, really, really not great at it. And a mouse is so much better at some things. Like I've been trying to turn my track pad into digital. I think Robert's paying me a commission for having done all this work I've done on it. It's my own layout, so I can't really do that. Trying to get my digital, that is a tedious task in general, and a mouse is the only way to get through it in my estimation.
Yeah.
All right.
It's with making music. It's the same thing.
Say this is a rotary dumper. This piece of cardboard sitting here. Push first car in. Don't cross your magnet. Go into your delayed uncouple. Push it in, then back your train off. You go off that car.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Then, if you need to, you push back in, couple up, pull back over to your magnet.
All right, that's not horrible.
Back in delayed uncoupling. Push that car over. It's down over the rotary dump. And of course, it didn't uncouple. But,
we know. I get that.
So then you can pull back, push the next car up. Your lift car stays where it's supposed to stay at.
Yeah, I just dropped one wheel set off. That's what I was doing on these cars.
Pass the rotary dump, come in. They're not all Katie's, so they don't all work the same. So then you put this say in the delayed uncouple. Then you push it in to the rotary dump. And then back out. Right?
Yep.
Then you come back in, go back up, pull back over your magnet, go back into delayed uncoupling again. Push on through. When you hit your other car, you're going to connect these two couple. The first two cars should couple up. You're still in delayed uncoupling.
Yeah, it works. You could do it. I wasn't thinking about backtracking, pulling the train back and forth over a separate delayed uncouplers. In my mind, I was thinking the only way to do it is just put the whole piece in the delayed uncoupling.
Delay uncouple again. Push your third car in. Rotate it, and then push on through, hook up, and then, because you'll be connected again once you push back in. Come on.
Yeah, I would just get the
pull on back
rotating couplers.
It's more steps, but it can be done.
It's a lot more steps, but yes, it is. Yeah. It can be done.
I'm with Andy. I would use the rotating couplers. I mean,
I just can't get into that one backup mode. That is so rough.
I did a question on the rotating couplers. Are they have magnets on the ends?
No, they knuckle like they're just knuckle couplers like any other, and you have to pivot at the draft gearbox. Is the way I understand it. So you basically it's a coupler. you'll never see this with enough detail, but it's the coupler with the shaft of it has to be able to pivot where the head has to be able to spin around the shaft effectively.
Right.
Well, see, it does with narrow shaped couplers, because I use narrow shaped couplers and narrow drag gearboxes. They're pretty narrow, and it's pretty easy to pivot that. Just let the shank spin. I'm not sure if that's how the prototype does it or not, but that's the way the circuit couplers. That's the way people have solved
They're
that.
saying if they had magnets underneath and the car rotates, would it derail the other cars because it's connected to the magnet, or would they just uncouple naturally because the magnets aren't that strong?
No, it doesn't uncouple them. It keeps them coupled and bound and then rotates. But it has to pivot at the center line of the coupler. So it is and that is not an easy thing to do in HO scale, but it's doable. Walther's made, I believe Walther's, about Cornerstone made a commercial product for rotating for their paper mill project, but there's another company makes a quite a bit more expensive one that I think is somebody on YouTube was using it recently. It's a bit pricey, but it's really nice.
If they're talking about the uncoupling magnet for uncoupling the couplers, it shouldn't, because the magnet would be under the track or in the track.
Yeah. I was thinking about this too. Would that magnet, would those air hoses connect right to that magnet on the track, or
on Andy's air hoses?
Yeah, or do the opposite, reflect them?
Well, it's both. See, that's kind of the odd thing about the way these magnetic air hoses work. They are not north and south. Otherwise, on either car, it's not north on this car, south on this car. Otherwise, you would always have to hook the north side to the south end of another car, and the other side of the car would have to be north end. Whatever, they would have to be opposite. What it is that the couplers are north and south, and you have to use a magnet to align them. That way, every air hose is north on one side, south on the other. So they will spin the air hose. So you've got to put it on the fixture so that you align the magnet correctly as you glue it to where the air hose, where I cut the air hose off. You have to get it in that right alignment. So when the other car comes in, it's north, south, whatever, and they hook. And if they had to spin, they would. But if you set the air hose right, it'll hold that orientation. It's really intriguing, and I thought it a bit of a novelty when I bought the first pack several years ago. I bought a pack, said, "Oh, look at that. That looks like something I would go crazy for." It just seems like it would have to be a novelty and not work that great, etc. But it's pretty decent. It's not bad. It's a bit of a pain to do it, but if your cars already have air hoses and angle cocks and stuff, all you got to do is just chop it off and glue it on. So it's not bad. And I'm already putting surgeon couplers on them, so that it's a part of the process. And I've got to build the surgeon. The surgeon couplers are like 5 or 6 pieces you have to put together and stuff. They're not, it's not like KDs, or that's a little more trouble. So I'm already into that. Sticking the air hose is not a big deal.
Yeah, I'm still on the basic of, okay, these plastic ones are not going to work as good as the metal ones.
That's where I'm at.
That's the furthest I'm going right now.
I actually had a coupler break on my Athearn Challenger. I was maxing out my layout. I had like 100 cars behind this thing, and the coupler broke.
Oh yeah.
So I stole a Katie coupler off of something that I had laying around, and it's not going to break now. So.
Oh, those McKendries, there's no way, even if I use KDs or whatever, of course, I think you're better to pick a common coupler, whatever that is. Number 5s, number 58s, whatever it is, short shake, long shake, do whatever you got to do with the same coupler head. So I would already have to change half the couplers I change anyway, because half of them are 5s, half of them are 58s. I don't like them being different, and that's not as reliable, not as robust, not as easy to operate when the coupler sizes don't match. So I'd have to change half of them anyway. So just go with all the surgeons. The surgeons are perfectly locked together. There's no slack in them. An entire train of KDs will have, say, 20. Some cars may have 2 inches of slop that you can push the cars up or back them off. The surgeons have nothing hardly. I mean,
Huh.
an entire 30-car train might have an eighth of an inch of slack. It's like a rigid chain. It doesn't have slop. So
Would
the
that?
rotators work. The rotators will hold together.
I mean, I'm not saying derailments are inevitable, but would it help with derailments around curves since they're that sturdy and I mean that close and tight? Because you
Yeah.
don't have
So
that much slack now going around. Yeah.
well, it's both. So it's the kind of tricky business is it has both a benefit and a consequence, like everything else. The surgeons stay real well together. They don't worry too much about vertical alignment because they're quite tight. They actually squeeze together basically when they lock, and they lock squeeze together. So they'll move up and down together, or the vertical alignment doesn't matter that much. Whereas on KD's, vertical alignment's everything. If you've got a little bit of a rise in your framework as you go over a riser or something, you'll get uncouples all the time. That is a non-existent thing with surgeons. With you have derailed before the coupler will, and the coupler still probably won't let go. You've got to, but if you hold a magnet over it, they let go like a champ, but they lock. So what I found, especially with steam locomotives that are inconsistent, they're just inconsistent. If they would do the same thing all the time, even if that's the wrong thing exactly, you could adjust for that. You could tune it. You could speed curve the problem out in DCC. But the couple of locomotives I've got are inconsistent. So when trying to push a train with them, trying to run them independently or constant, however you want, the locomotives are not that consistent. So they put the train in a lot of bind at times. That's one of the serious reasons why I went ahead and moved up into this, post-merger era in 1987, because it's just easier to do. You can do it in steam, but it's a massive amount of labor and hours, maybe years of work to get that to work right. Right. So I had really stressed out about that and basically give up on putting surgeons on a yearish ago, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And then a big uptick happened in the group's IO page for them, and a lot of activity and people put together some, however they're doing it, the type of casting they're doing. It's an odd type of casting. Somebody has taken off doing some of it, the vast majority of it. Those of us that are kind of surgeon guys don't mind to go to a little bit of trouble for draft gearboxes sometimes and stuff. So the narrow shaped couplers were much more popular. So they're making all of those, no problem. There are some compatibility issues. There are some of the older, wider shaped couplers if you want to drop in replacement for some of the big, wide boxes. That's, you got to replace some draft gearboxes, maybe. But on the AccuRail, Tangent, Scale Trans cars, that's not an issue. The narrows work just fine there too. So it depends on your use case, what's right for you. But they're still making them right this second. And it looks like there's some guys who are adding to, possibly taking over. So it's kind of getting to be a bit of a community effort. And the drawings for the 3D printable files that you can print and make a cast with are freely available on the internet. That he released them. So if I needed to keep going with surgeons in 10 years and nobody's making them or something, of course, KD would have changed to come out with something probably better by then too, and I'd want to change anyway. I could just make my own if I had to.
Right, and they're using springs, right, for the hand part.
Well, they don't. No, they don't have a spring in them effectively. It's a knuckle like a prototype, and it's a 3-part assembly. It's the knuckle it has a bottom plate that comes out, grabs the knuckle. You set the little knuckle in. I mean, it's like quite small, scale size knuckle. It's way less than an eighth of an inch at its widest. A little square knuckle. Drop the knuckle in, and then you put a ball bearing down in this little hole. And I squeezed a little dusting of graphite powder down in there just to make sure over the years it stays a little bit lubricated. And then you put this little clamp on top of it. It clamps on the top and grabs the knuckle like pegs on a hinge. Grabs the knuckle and glues it down, holds the knuckle in there. So the knuckle has plenty of movement. Then if you pull the ball bearing up with a magnet, or you flip it over or something, but if you pull the ball bearing up, the knuckle will freely swing, and you can pick it open or you can do whatever. When this other one comes in there against it, it's in the open position. When this one comes in here against it, the ball's already dropped down. So when it pushes the knuckle back, the knuckle can't open again. And the only way to open it again is to hold a magnet over it so the ball bearing goes up. but never do you do. This is what sold me on it. You're never there with this. You know the way guys operate with a pick, whether it's that little Rick's plastic tool, those are really cool by the way, or just a skewer that you're uncoupling with. It's this twist and roll operation. I could do it. Any of us could do it, but you're going to hit it if you're pretty reliable at it. You're going to hit, 3 out of 4. But it's still this one that you got to fiddle with every now and then. With the magnet rod, I just poke it down there just a second so that it just long enough for it to hit the top of the coupler, pull it away. They're uncoupled. It's super elegant. But the pusher operation is a totally different experience with KDs versus surgeons.
That's cool. That's what I like about watching flat switching when they delay the coupler like that. They pull the car and they shove it, and then just the cars go on their own right down to the yard without a hump.
Yeah, it's called kicking. The railroad calls it kicking. That is very
I work
hard
on
to
railroad
do.
too.
Well, O-scale guys do that all the time. It's really common in O-scale operations to watch them kick cars. Jim Lincoln, James Lincoln's on some of the podcasts and stuff of the internet, and he's talked about kicking cars at HO scale, but it's tedious. I think you could, if you really got the operation, the kind of muscle memory right on it. I think you could with some consideration. There's people who are taking KD couplers, or you could do it with a surgeon, and mounting little motors back there so you could decoder operate a coupler. If you did that, maybe you could kick cars. And maybe you could with delayed operation, but it's a tedious operation to perform.
Ralph just said Rix RIX makes a magnetic coupler pick.
It's great. It's the best thing in the world. It's plastic. It goes down in real nice. Another trick that an operator, I was operating with somebody years ago, and he said he used pencil, a regular number 2 pencil, and you needed a little bit of paperwork as you were operating around the railroads. Had little notepads stuck to the back of the throttles, and you'd write your notes out for operating the railroad. Or maybe have your car cards back there, whatever, too. But you need a pencil to write stuff on, so your pencil's there. And he would uncouple with it. And the little bit of graphite that's getting applied to your couplers as you're using that pencil on there is lubricating the couplers and stuff. It was a really good argument he had for it. Whether it actually makes a difference or not, it's up for debate, but the pencil's handy. It's a good way to uncouple, but it's not perfect.
It's actually pretty cool because when I use it, just because I couldn't find anything else. So,
Katie also makes the uncoupling pick.
But they make that little H thing with all the magnets on either side.
That's Rick.
That thing, I know. Okay, Rick's one's the one that drives me stark raving mad. There's somebody makes just a little plastic. It is a plastic skewer, and it's a narrow plastic skewer. You stick it between the knuckles and twist, and the couplers pop loose. But I can't stand that little fork thing that magnetically. Well, I cut my levers off, so or whatever. I don't want those coupling things hanging down there. Yeah, that's the ticket. That's good. It's smooth and it's easy, but it's still not a perfect process.
I know MTH used to make, I don't know if they still do, they used to make couplers in HO that you could uncouple and couple. I don't know if they're any good or not. I would assume that they aren't.
Who did?
It's just that technology kind of is still kind of, it's like the smoking whistle in HO. It is very new and it's not really been tried. So I don't know.
Back uncouplers or the
MTH ones, the proto couplers.
Well, these are the closest thing I can imagine to getting prototypical. But the surgeon couplers, they're small scale. This one I don't have an air hose on yet, but they lock like any other coupler. You close them and they lock. But to uncouple them, all you got to do is just hold the little wand over them, and they just uncouple smooth as.
Wow.
They're just perfectly smooth. And I held it there for a second. I mean, like, I don't even have to hold it there for a second. I could just barely tap it and they go. So you just stick the wand in there as you're pulling the cars, and you can do that on the move. They're not in a bind. So you could be dragging the train along. I can't do it because I can't hold the phone at the same time, but you could drag the train along and uncouple while they're moving. The cars are, they're perfectly together, and you can just uncouple.
It's great programming and track work. What do you call it? That'd be nice doing a yard, nice and slow.
Let's see. Like, and a lot of times you can get close to them and they'll uncouple. It's just super smooth. Once I started using them, I kind of fell in love with them.
Yes.
And Katie's.
That's definitely a lot smoother than that truck running across the cross ties.
I know, but I don't have a perfect grade here. I had the same problem Tim was having trying to flick the car. I just dropped one of the wheels over, and it'll.
Yeah.
Okay, so what the guys are doing that are doing the rotating couplers, from what I'm finding is there's not anybody that actually makes a rotating coupler. You have to make them yourself.
Yep.
And so what they're doing is they're taking a couple pieces of brass tube and that just fit inside each other. They're gluing a KD in, or filing it down and gluing it in, whatever, into the smaller one, and then putting a flare on the other side of it.
Yep.
At least that's what I'm.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. Everybody I've seen doing it is doing it the way you're talking about there, where they are effectively they're making the shank spin inside the car, which I don't think is the prototype way to do it, but I think that's probably the best way to model it.
So there's our, setup.
Before and after.
That's what I've seen too. I've seen the guys doing it with surgeons are doing it the same way too, making the shank spin.
Do tank cars also have rotary couplers?
No, they have shelf couplers.
That's what they have. Okay.
And most of the time, upper and lowers. I don't know how you do that with KDs. Surgeon has an entirely different upper shelf coupler and an upper and lower shelf coupler. They have each of those style of couplers. They make a draft gearbox that lets the shank spin in the draft gearbox. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think. That's what we do.
Yeah.
It's not bad. That's pretty smart.
Yeah, I don't know who's. I don't know if it's this Glancel coupler or what. I'd be able to listen to the audio because I've been kind of interested in that myself. I just figured I'd have to find something.
Give it time. Someone will make it, patent it, and sell it.
Well, and there's guys doing it. I've seen guys talking about it on the surgeon forums. It's not. They use an arrow-shaped coupler, stick them in a little box. It can't be terribly much to what they're trying to do. They stick it through a tube. They use the long shanks, I think. Stick it through the tube, glue a ball bearing on the other side of it so that it will stay through the tube, and that's it.
And with 3D printing technology the way it is,
it's not very solid. 3D printing is not like you're not going to pull 100 cars with a 3D printed part. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can.
With resin, just doing the coupler box part, rotating coupler box.
Sure.
And this is another way of doing it.
Well, you put the coupler through, put a screw through the coupler anyway, or through the back of the whatever's supporting the coupler.
Ralph asks, what is Sam up to tonight?
What am I up to tonight?
Yep.
I ran some trains before I came on. Had some derailments. I did some yesterday too, and one of them broke. It was my Hudson, made by Broadway Limited a while ago. Smoke unit burned out, so have to send that in for the third or fourth time. I don't think it'll. I don't think they'll take it because it's discontinued.
What
So
I bet you could just put a Soothe, buy a commercial, just buy a Soothe smoke generator. I bet you could just buy a general Soothe smoke generator and probably fit it in there, and just replace it with a commercial one. Just
see,
one you can buy yourself.
I don't like smoke. I don't like the Soothe smoke units. They compared to everything else that has the synchronized puffing smoke.
Oh, yeah, you're right there.
They just don't look.
You're right.
It's not and it's got that popping sound.
Yeah, I
That,
agree. There's no way that would work. The guys over in Europe have really got this thing figured out because they use fans and little chambers to puff real pretty reasonable smoke. None of the U.S. are absolutely great, but yeah, the synchronized stuff's pretty neat.
yeah, it's especially with the articulated locomotives.
Yep,
It's really fun to watch.
yep, I agree. I like it on mine too. On the Broadway Limited I've got, I like that it does that. I hope I keep that when I replace the electronics because I am absolutely and unequivocally replacing the electronics in it. I think that's the biggest part of my Steam problem is the stupid decoders.
Ralph mentioned he wants to know if the wire has come loose for the smoke unit.
Maybe that could be it. I haven't looked. I took it apart yesterday, and I almost didn't get it back together. So I'm not gonna go taking it apart again. Uh, but I actually, when I took it apart, now that it's back together, uh, I still have a washer sitting on my workbench that came off of it and has not gone back on. So I don't know where that goes, but
You obviously done it right then. You're supposed to have between 1 and 3 parts extra. If you have 5 parts extra, something kind of went wrong. 7 parts extra, it went really wrong.
right. Like I almost couldn't get it back together. Like I was like, it looks right, and if I'm going to send it into them, like I'm gonna at least try to send it in. And if it takes them 2 months to get it back to me, I don't really care because I don't run it that much. Uh, but I mean, it's really, it looks okay. I don't know if it runs now that I have it back together. I'm not gonna try it because I'm too scared. But
Ralph wants to know if you want to sell it.
if I want to sell it,
Yeah,
do you,
he'll probably give you $1.50 for it.
uh, if you can come down here and just take it from me, you know.
Well, just stick it in a box and mail it to him.
Cold dead hands is what he's saying.
It's just one of the issues is the smoke unit. When I first got it back, because when I had to send it in, because this happened before, the smoke unit burned out, and the one of the wires from connecting the tender to the locomotive tore off, because that always happens if you take it in and out of the box. When I first got it back, the whole story is that I looked up because it wouldn't smoke because the smoke unit didn't work. But I just kept on putting smoke fluid in it because that's what the internet said to do because the internet is always right. So I just kept on putting smoke fluid in it. Like this is just years of me like putting smoke fluid in it. And I sent it in when it actually broke and they got it back. And as soon as I put it on the track and I fired it up, just like all this smoke is coming out of it because there's probably 100 drops in there from years of just putting in smoke fluid. And the smoke unit got so hot that it melted the boiler. So the boiler around the smoke stack is like all bubbled and it's so bad. It's so
What
bad.
locomotive? What locomotive is that? What brand?
It's a Broadway limited Hudson. It's Paragon 2.
I've got 2 Broadway Paragon 2, a Y6, and a Class A, and they are both finicky animals. I despise the electronics in them, but they're finicky. I love them. They're pretty. They got a lot right on them. especially the Y, but it's got problems still.
I
Yeah.
fried my ACS board on my MTHO scale engine one time just because one wire was touching the other by accident. Forgot to. Well, I fixed it. I soldered it. Everything was great. Turned out that while putting the shell over, connecting the shell back to the body, the wire somehow touched, and that was it. $400 engine completely fried. So I feel you.
Street
See,
tube, brother.
You see, Broadway Limited, I think, make the best steam engines on the market when they work. When they work, they are the best. And when they don't work, they're the absolute worst.
They look the best.
Sam,
Yes.
Ralph said he don't want it now. It's broke.
Oh, well, you really screwed up. I'm gonna get it. It's sitting in the box. You gotta see this. This is great.
If I have a Canadian model and he wants it, he has to bring his behind here to the States and visit me in person to pick it up. I'm not mailing it to him. Now he has to come visit me. I'll pay halfway for the...
Social distancing, brother.
He could. Here's the best way to do it, and this is what Ralph needs to do. He needs to send you the empty box, and then you send him the train back in the empty box as an RMA.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
As a return to sender.
All right, so here it is. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but if I can get the camera to focus.
Probably not because you're lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You almost need a light behind your camera.
I might be able to get it to flip around. And then we can. Oop, hold on. All right. Nope, that's okay. Everything's backwards.
No, that's just to you.
Not for us.
Where is it? Why can't I?
Other way. Turn it the other way.
There we go. Okay, so you can kind of see it there.
Yeah, you can.
It's pretty screwed up.
Yeah, it's not supposed to look like that. I'll give you that.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad from like really far away. If you stare at it from like 10 feet away, it looks really, really good. And it looks fabulous. But when you get up close, like something isn't quite right there.
That just shouldn't happen.
Yeah. Oh wait, where'd I go? Oh, there we go. And you're right, it shouldn't. Stuff like that shouldn't happen. It absolutely is unacceptable, in my opinion. But it does happen. So.
Human City said, I have a bunch of BLI diesel locomotives, Paragon 3, and I am nervous hearing all about these issues with their stuff. I don't know if you'll have those issues with the diesel locomotives.
Diesels are simple.
I really want to love Broadway Limited. I've got more money in Broadway Limited locomotives than I do anything else right now. They're not cheap, these big articulated, so they're expensive. Yeah. They're just very frustrating. They're in so many ways they're quite good, but they've got a few little nuances, and I still think it's the electronics that are so awful. You could fix that risk of that smoke generator running away with itself with a 2-cent thermistor that cut it off if it got too hot nearby. That's not a hard solution. That's not a hard problem. They need electronics improvements. Mechanically, they're really nice.
I mean, I think the whole not every steam locomotive, but like a lot of manufacturers are like that. Like they just need to give things a once over before they send it off. Like I feel like that's
this problem.
That's all it is.
Well, they have the same problem kind of, it seems like repeatedly, in that, they're like Jaguars. They're beautiful, they're mechanically quite sound and nice, but they catch on fire. The electronics got...
Right.
That's why I don't know why anybody would want to reinvent the kind of reinvent the mold. If you're a locomotives manufacturer at this point, stick an ESU in it and solve the problem, or go with another commercial vendor. I seen Rapido is talking about using TCS in their locomotives now as a new option, which I kind of give them credit for having a second option. I really didn't like the sound of that to begin with, but I am happy that they sell DC only. That's another way to get around the Broadway issue in my mind. If Broadway Limited would sell a DCC ready locomotive, 21 pin, so you can buy an ESU and put in it, or you could buy it with whatever decoder they want to pot off on you right now. Good stuff. Because you can stick an
Alrighty.
ESU in it easy.
Alright, tell you what, guys, we done gone over the 1 hour mark. And my OBS is starting to act up, and so is the internet. I just happened to look up, and everything was all red on me. So I guess we'll go ahead and call it a night for now. And leave it with the bad BLI units. Because a couple of those are saying, John 2618, he got a new heavyweight Pacific, no smoke unit in it.
I don't think the smoke is worth much trouble. None of them are great.
Yeah. Alright, so don't forget, next week on the 14th, we got the Bill show with Andy and his crew. The 15th is going to be Ralph's Weathering, working on the locomotives. Then Thursday is back here to the talk show. All our shows are at 9 o'clock Eastern time. And Bill's got another show that he's working on. I didn't check my email, so I don't know if I got a confirmation on the date. So that could be later this month. So with that said, be safe. Keep working on them layouts. And we'll catch y'all next Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. Have a good one.